Welcome back to my die filer build. Still not getting much time in the workshop just now, so it's been a while since my last video, but we've made some progress. And in this video we're going to look at the lubrication system. A friend of mine gave me this sight gauge, which is just perfect for it to be able to view the oil level, which I want to keep quite low. So since my last video I've added some 8mm square bar on the inside of the body and added these studs. So this square bar is just held on with some screws. I've also added these pads, one each side. So these will be to support some arms or legs to support the table. I've also made this tray which drops in there, and this will become part of the lubrication or the oil distribution. And we've also got a top plate which will fit on there. I've got some nice cap nuts to hold this down. So I'll make a gasket for here. There is an O-ring goes in here, just keeps the oil in. The body itself is finished, apart from cleaning up and painting. There's no more machining to do to it, as far as I can tell, unless I come up with some more crazy ideas. So what remains to finish off the base is just to put in an oil drain, which I'll put in here, and also to put in a hand pump. So I've made the piston. Which will go on there, well, into there. We'll need to make a 12mm or drill and ream a 12mm hole so deep, actually that deep, that's better. So that's 46, 47, we'll say 50. So for the intake valve I've just made this leaf spring valve. So this is just a bit of mild steel ground flat, and I've got a bit of spring steel, flat spring steel. So this is the intake hole, so that covers that. Put in a screw. Okay. So when it sucks oil in, it'll just open that spring. And when it's trying to push oil out, it'll keep that closed. Now it's not a perfect seal, but it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure that will work fine. We'll soon find out. So that will sit in there. I would say between there and there, so we'll need to machine a recess in there for that to sit in. Also made an output valve. And that will sit there. Not too bad. Looks good. Okay, so that's all the milling done. That's the valve there, which just sits in there. We'll just need to drill and cap some holes for some screws. Put a connecting hole through here and drill a hole here for the other valve. One there. So I'll just quickly do that off camera. Okay, so that's the drilling done. So that will fit into there. So I had to put countersink screws in here, especially on this side, to clear the foot on the bottom of the body. And this valve just screws into here. So I've got a bonded seal on here, but that's just the right thickness for it to tighten up at the right orientation. So there's some plastic tube here to go in there and connect up to the tray on the top. So while I was busy, I put the drain hole in. I've got a drain plug which has got a magnetic tip, and so I just fitted an O-ring. Bend the spring, a bit of oil. So I've got an O-ring on there. Okay, so now we need to finish off the drip tray. So goes in there. So we need some drips to go here somewhere, along here. We definitely want some above the counterweight, above the counterweight gears. Bearing at this side here, above the yoke, both sides probably. Okay, so I've just done a bit of measuring and made some revision. So that's the milling done. So I've put a large recess in here to make a little bit of a reservoir. Got a small hose connector that will screw in. So to stop any excess oil just going across the plate, I thought I would make the reservoir a little bit deeper. So I milled up this bit of plate with a slot in. And that just fits on there with a couple of countersunk screws. So the idea is that can fill up with oil and go along the channels rather than just overspilling on the plate. So this is now higher than the edge of the housing. So I machined a recess in the bottom of the cover. Unfortunately I had a bit of a mishap. And I've got a bit of a hole appeared. So I think what happened was I was a bit remiss. When I clamped this down on the machine table, there must have been a bit of swarf under there. And as I machined the material away, the bottom deformed and raised up, and the cutter made a hole. So that's a bit unfortunate. However, out of every disaster, there's an opportunity. So I thought, well, I could either cover that up with a nameplate, or I could make a viewing window so you can view the oil. So I just used the hole saw to cut a bit of perspex to make glass to go over there. got an O-ring seal, and I made a cover to go on like that. So I've only got a pilot hole where it needs to go, so I need to just open this hole out and then drill 2 holes for some M3 bolts. So on the final assembly I'll get some nice brass screws to bolt it on. But that's basically what it will look like. So as oil goes through these holes, there's a possibility that it will form a globule on the underside, cling to the underside of the plate and migrate away from the hole before dripping down. So to mitigate that, I'm just going to drop some pieces of bent wire into the holes, so the oil will migrate down the wire and drip off the end of the wire and therefore drip in the correct place. That's the idea anyway.